It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It's Friday, and it's time for Fridays with AI, brought to you as always by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their wide selection of tees and Philly sports apparel. I've told you about the slides, the shoes, and if you want, here's the Tush Push shirt. The Tush Push is alive and well. Go to Philly Goat, get your Tush Push shirt in honor of the Tush Push being there. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, so all the talk has been the Phillies need a bat, the Phillies need a bullpen piece, the Phillies need both. Who's untouchable? Who's touchable? That sounded weird. Who's untouchable? Who's able to get traded? And I thought, why not ask AI to predict who the Phillies will acquire at the trade deadline and then simulate the rest of the season with those trade pieces. So Phillies do make moves. They make two of them. And okay. So the first move they make is Dennis Santana from the Pirates. They trade Gabriel Racones Jr. and John Henriksen for uh, Dennis Santana. Good, solid bullpen piece from the Pirates, who are obviously going to be selling. Santana does have one more year of club control, so he would be here for next year. He's arbitration eligible, so we'd have to see how that plays out. And then they make another move for a bat. Willie Castro from the Twins for Gabriel Cotto and Carlos De La Cruz, two lower prospects. Not bad. You're saving the big guys, which seems to be what Dombrowski wants to do. You're addressing needs. But to me personally, this gives me a lot of vibes. I think Santana should be good, but Castro might provide a spark too. But this gives me vibes of what Dombrowski has done the past couple of years. So that's essentially what AI is suggesting he's going to do. No big splashy moves. But what does AI think that this is going to mean for the rest of the season? The Phillies finish out the season 94-68. They go 40-22 down the stretch after the trade deadline. They win the division by 2 games over the Mets, and AI predicts a battle back and forth between the Mets, much like we've seen all season. They don't think the Mets, they think they'll get it put together. They'll make some moves themselves. But what does Castro do for the Phillies? Well, Willie Castro actually does provide a spark. He gets some clutch hits when the bats go cold and helps keep which is the MO of this team. Everybody goes cold at the same time. Everybody gets hot at the same time. But Castro sort of keeps it more even killed. Bryce Harper has a big second half. We saw kind of a preview of that the other night. He ends up with 28 homers and 93 RBI. And if you're one of those who are following Kyle Schwarber's home runs to see where he ends up, kind of cools off a little bit in the second half, ends up with 38 home runs. But Castro hits 262 for the Phillies, 7 homers, gets them 12 stolen bases. But, and I'll get more into that in a minute, does play a big role and a big spark in the postseason for the Phillies. And then Santana becomes the eighth inning, ninth inning guy alongside of Kirkering. Ends up really being a solid piece for the bullpen and really helps during that pennant chase with the Mets. 7 holds, comes out with 2 big saves in September to kind of propel the Phillies over the top. Zach Wheeler, though, AI predicts will finally win the Cy Young. He just remains consistent the way he has been throughout the rest of the season. And it's a very close vote between he and Paul Skeens. But down the stretch, Paul Skeens does not get enough innings or as many innings as Zach Wheeler, and that's what puts Zach over the top. So the big question then, what does that mean for the postseason? Well, by winning the division, the Phillies end up with the second best division record behind the Dodgers once again. The Brewers beat the Mets in the wild card round. Gotta love that. And there's only one reason I'm putting that. It's because the Mets, all their fans and all their chirping, but they do lose to the Brewers in the wild card round. Phillies then go out and beat the Brewers 3-1 in the NLDS. Zach Wheeler and Brandon Marsh are the stars of this series. And that brings us to the NLCS against the Dodgers. a familiar postseason foe for the Phillies, and they're just not able to overcome the Dodgers. They fall to the Dodgers 4-2 in the NLCS. And believe it or not, it's not the hitting that lets the Phillies down in the NLCS. The pitching. They just the Dodgers lineup is fully healthy at this time, and the Phillies pitchers just are not able to do it. Both starters and bullpen pieces. But this leads to fans saying, "Okay, this is now the fourth year in a row we've failed to win the World Series, demand big changes." Doesn't really go into what the offseason moves will be, but I likely suspect that a lot of the younger guys get called up and we kind of see the youth movement for the Phillies. But what do you think? What are your trade deadline predictions for the Phillies? AI seems to think it's Dennis Santana from the Pirates and Willie Castro from the Twins, who do get the Phillies over the hump. They win the division for the second straight year, but fall to the Dodgers in the NLCS. And I mean, that's kind of in line with what I had said at the beginning of the season, not being able to overtake the Dodgers, although the Dodgers are not good right now. So who knows? This is one time I hope AI is wrong. But let me know your Phillies trade deadline predictions. Who do you think they're going after? Who's untouchable? Do you trade some of the big pieces? Mick Abel had a great start the other night in AAA. Andrew Painter's been struggling, so that kind of even further complicates things a lot. Maybe Dave Dombrowski finally goes back to his roots and makes a big move. But let me know your thoughts on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267 495 8531.